All right, welcome to the show, y'all. Hope everybody out there is having a great day, and I have an amazing lineup for you. So in just a second, Trump has multiple demented meltdowns within the past 2 or 3 days. We have Lindsey Graham's funeral, which was, of course, just absolutely abysmal and weird, and the entire thing came unglued at multiple points. Very bizarre, stranger than fiction, if we're being real. So we'll talk about that. We also have Iran sneak attacks a U.S. base and drops a dire warning on Trump that you have to see to believe. So I'll show you that. Also, China and Russia are getting more involved in the war and backing Iran. And so the U.S. is low-key sort of panicking here, and I'm going to break all that down for you. Also, later on, Haley Stevens is panicking as Abdul calls out her AIPAC money directly to her face, and the new round of polls is looking catastrophic for the Stevens campaign. So we'll dive into that as well. And then later on, we have a MAGA representative who is currently in Congress who allegedly assaulted his daughter and his wife, and nobody cares. Nobody in Republican leadership gives a shit, and they're perfectly fine with him, being in their caucus, and we live in hell. Because, of course, Democrats have the strictest standards you've ever seen, ever, and Republicans have absolutely no standards at all. So that's what we're dealing with, and it's the worst thing ever. So we'll talk about that as well. You guys know the drill, man. Subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. You can also support the show on Patreon. Link below for that. You can tip with the thanks button on YouTube as well. Remember, y'all, this is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser. I've never done an ad read. I never will. You guys have made that possible. Without you, it wouldn't be like this. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart for all the support. And then also, of course, you can sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. We have a great interview dropping this week. We're talking to Rania Khalek of Breakthrough News, who is currently being politically persecuted by the Trump regime. They are coming after her for having an anti-imperialist news outlet under NSPM 7, under this new McCarthyite Red Scare. So I cannot wait for that conversation. Sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack to see the full thing. And then also, everybody go sub to Corin's World and come hang out with us live every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. So, going to get to the Lindsey Graham funeral in a second. But before I do, let's not forget what Donald Trump said during the campaign to Andrew Schultz on his podcast about Sleepy Joe Biden and what his problem is. So here we go. Listen to this.
He has an ability to fall asleep while on camera. He can lie down on one of those things, and in minutes, he's stone cold out.
How does he do
and he's
it?
got cameras on because he's the president, so they have cameras on him. And then they show him sleeping on the beach. You'll never see me sleeping in front of camera.
How do we...
Oh, is that so? Here he is, front row at Lindsey Graham's funeral. Front row at a funeral, fighting for his life. Look at this.
Was very influential on.
Oh, those eyelids are heavy, homie.
And also Supreme Court decisions. So it's a rare ability. He was very funny, by the way, and playing on the golf course. He and me and Richard Burr would occasionally maneuver our ball out of the rough.
Bro. Now, this is the problem. The part of his brain that regulates circadian rhythm is breaking down. This is what's happening with his cognitive decline. So he's up all night tweeting all sorts of AI slop and threatening nuclear annihilation, but all day when he's supposed to be awake and focused on presidential type shit, he's micro-napping. Okay, and some of this is not micro-napping. Some of this shit is he's deep in REM sleep in this bitch. By the way, the Republicans Against Trump account tweeted a compilation here, and you can't make this up, bro. Compilation of 3 minutes and 34 seconds of Trump being asleep in public. 3 minutes and 34 seconds. We got Lindsey Graham's funeral. We got his trip to Turkey where he's basically fucking snoring on these hoes. We got, an event in Pennsylvania here where he's falling asleep as he's being glazed by the Secretary of War Crimes. Now even glazing him and telling him he's a special little boy isn't enough to keep him awake. He doesn't have the capability anymore. So he's become the nappiest boy of all time, the sleepiest little obese son of a gun of all time. And remember, he specifically attacked Joe Biden, saying, I don't understand. How does he sleep in public? It's so crazy. Now, every 7 seconds... That's what we're dealing with. 3 minutes and 34 seconds of a compilation of him sleeping everywhere. Okay, so sleeps at Lindsey Graham's funeral, but I got a lot for you here, okay? This is a part where, during the funeral, Trump seems to forget what he's doing and who he's talking about and where he is. He knows he's at a funeral, but he forgets the specifics. So pay close attention here. He's trying to come up with Lindsey Graham. I'm talking about Lindsey Graham, but he can't come up with the fact that it's Lindsey Graham, and so he tries to work around it. Listen to this. Here we go.
Our nation needs more men and women like that great person sitting, laying, wherever he may be. I think I know where he is. And
oh, my God. Oh, no, Don. Oh, no.
our nation needs more men and women like that great.
Fighting for his life over there. Need more men and women and maybe people in between, somewhere on the spectrum. You need all those people. You need them to be like this person right here who's sitting, laying there. Where they are, I don't know, but maybe I think I know. Oh, my God, bro. His brain is just meandering.
Person sitting, laying, wherever he may be. I think I know where he is, and I think he's up there. I think he's watching us. I'm pretty sure of it.
Oh, no. There's also a part, I didn't pull this one up, but there's also a part where after he's done speaking and he goes to sit back at his seat, he walks past Lindsey Graham's casket and he just taps it. He gives it a, and then he keeps moving. Oh, my days. All right, but I'm just getting started because now you guys are going to love this one, bro. You guys are going to love this one. So here, this is one of the moments that everybody's talking the most about, and you'll see why very quickly.
But no matter how heated things got in Washington, virtually everyone, Republican or Democrat, liked.
Who's who of war criminals, by the way? Who's who of war criminals? Everybody liked Lindsey.
Lindsey, well, not everybody.
Oh.
But it sounds good. Not everybody. He was a tough cookie, okay? I have to veer from this for a second. He was a tough cookie, Darlene. But he was beautiful. But he was also ready with...
One thing's for sure, everybody liked him, and that's why we're all here celebrating his life. Well, not everybody liked him. In fact, I'd say most people probably didn't like him. In fact, he was generally hated. But wait, it gets better, because he goes from that, totally veering off script, driving the whole point into a ditch, and then he hits us with this. Try to figure out what the fuck he's saying here. Good luck.
Gleam in his eye after being lectured on the excruciating details of patent law by a fellow senator during a flight. Lindsey declared that he had discovered a new form of enhanced interrogation and torture for the Guantanamo Bay area. He said this is really bad stuff and boring.
Oh, my days.
And while he was...
What the fuck? Oh, he's mangling this. He got handed a speech. All he has to do is read it. He cannot deliver it.
An incredibly hard worker. He was not exactly an early riser, as many of you know.
What the fuck? Oh, no. Okay. Lindsey Graham deserved this, by the way. Lindsey Graham motherfucking deserved this. Now, here's where Trump, again, veers off script. He goes, well, I must tell you, he never met a war he didn't like. He sure was a hawk. He never met a war he didn't like. And then you cut to Hannity, like fucking 7 minutes apart from Trump, going up there giving his speech. He's like, people lie about Lindsey and say he's a warmonger. This is incredible.
He was extremely hawkish. I will tell you, he never saw a war that he didn't like. Only his true friends would understand that.
No,
But he wanted...
I think quite literally everybody understands that. I think that's the one thing that quite literally everybody gets about Lindsey Graham. That and his little ladybugs. That and his little secret he was trying to keep from everybody.
For the good of our country.
Lindsey, he was often unfairly characterized as a warmonger. I've heard that false criticism a lot.
False criticism. They have some nerve, bro. They have some nerve. As if these things aren't checkable. Okay? When he ran in 2016 for president, got like -7 votes. He was asked, so how do you get out of Iraq? How do you get out of Afghanistan? And his answer was, and I'm not kidding, you don't. You stay there forever. I remember because I covered it at the time. I was doing the show at the time, and I remember going, what the fuck? You had to pick my jaw up off the ground. So I'm like, who could be that stupid politically? Like that's what Americans want. Are you fucking kidding me? So, by the way, Sean, don't take my word for it. You guys can go check. Did he support the Iraq War? Did he vote for the Iraq War? Did he support the Afghanistan War? Did he vote for the Afghanistan War? Did he support the overthrowing of Libya? Did he support war against Syria? Did he support the illegal war against Iran? He was one of the fucking chief people endlessly pushing for it. He's on camera saying, I nearly cried tears of joy after we bombed the fucking little girls' school in Iran. That same bombing raid. He was like, I almost cried tears of joy. Like, what are you talking about? He supported the genocide in Gaza. Are you kidding? Like, oh, people unfairly call him a warmonger. If you objectively and soberly look at his record, there's no other conclusion except that he's a fucking warmonger. How is this guy allowed on TV? No, seriously, how is he allowed on TV? To tell lies that brazen is just astonishing to me. I don't understand how anybody can get in the mental space to be this fucking disingenuous, this much of a little fucking weasel. What a sick prick. Oh my days, I hate this guy. Oh, he should immediately be off TV.
I've heard that false criticism a lot. It's not true. The truth was the opposite. Lindsey desperately
oh yeah, he loved peace.
Wanted and talked to the president about a lasting peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, he loved peace. He wanted a piece of you over there and a piece of you over there and a piece of you over there. He wanted pieces of you everywhere.
He wanted every region, every country in the region on that path to peace. That was Lindsey's dream. If people would only listen to what he had been saying.
Oh, we listened. Oh, Sean, we listened. So this funeral was completely and utterly unglued, bro. But here, I haven't even got to my favorite one. This is Sean Hannity delivering one of my favorite lines of all time. First of all, I didn't know it was legal to suck dick at a funeral, but that's what this man just did. Wait for it. Here we go.
Lindsey, Mr. President, I would argue in my mind, probably has a heavenly version of Mar-a-Lago. It may even be a little bigger. He may have a little more gold in the Oval Office in his mansion in heaven. And I wouldn't be surprised if he added one big, beautiful ballroom and an arch somewhere on the property. Because he would want to obviously duplicate his dearest friend in life, you, Mr. President.
Now, by the way, you can go look at the videos. When Trump ran in 2016, nobody hated him more from within the Republican Party than Lindsey Graham. He said wild shit. He said, if Trump becomes our nominee, we're going to lose and our party's going to be destroyed and we're going to deserve it. That's what he said. Oh, he always loved you, sir. My ass cheeks. And here's Sean go, choking on it. Fucking... he's glurping on it. Yes, I just made up that word. He's glurping on that thing. He is slobbing on that knob so hard, we needed to invent a new word to describe it. He is glurping on that thing, bro. What the fuck are we witnessing? Their idea of heaven is like a fucking tacky golf course with a bunch of plastic bitches and Botox and shit, where everybody's fake. Nobody actually likes each other. All they care about is their fucking Gucci and all their designer shit. Like, Mar-a-Lago in the sky? Are you kidding me? It's bigger. It's got more gold. Their idea of heaven is not like transcending this like material plane that we're on. No, their idea of heaven is like, let's solidify the hierarchies. And our servants work twice as fast. They work twice as fast, and they're even more dedicated to us than they are in this world. Like, what the fuck is this? That's your idea of heaven? Oh, no. There's a big arch in the sky, sir. There's the Epstein Memorial Ballroom. There's all of your little 10-year-old Epstein victims, and as long as they're boys, Lindsey would be happy. He prefers them that way. Oh, my days, bro. What the fuck are we talking about? All right. Then we have the psycho sundowning president posting this. AI slop of him with Gandhi JFK. And I know it's supposed to be Jesus, but that's motherfucking Jared Leto, bro. Don't take my word for it. You look at this screen and go look up Jared Leto. That's Jared Leto. Whatever AI Trump used swapped Jesus for Jared Leto, and he didn't even realize. He also apparently didn't look close enough at himself, because his face is fucking rotund and bulbous in this, even more so than in real life. He looks like a pudgy little meatball in this bitch. But this is what the president does. Now, you could convince me that he thought this was real too, by the way, because that's how much his brain is failing. So he's on this absolutely demented meltdown. We also have him. He went and did a rally, which again, I don't know why he's doing a rally. That also scares me because it makes me think, of course, he wants to stay in power past 2028. There's about 1,000 things that make me think he wants to stay in power. But the fact that he's still doing rallies and shit, but he had the nerve to say this to his people. Listen.
Years, bad years. We're having the single greatest year we've ever had as a country. We're not going to let these people destroy it.
we're having the single greatest year we've ever had as a country? Are you kidding me? They hit Biden like nobody's business over inflation. His inflation is worse than Joe Biden's. You have got to be kidding me. Multiple illegal wars of aggression, inflation out of control, unemployment out of control, gas prices. I paid $4.20 something the other day. Grocery prices. I mean, look at the price of like meat. Oh my days, it's fucking through the roof. Oh, everything's great. Everybody loves it. They kicked 18 million people off Medicaid. Greatest country, greatest year in our country's history. Are you kidding me? Like, his line of bullshit has now just, it's through the roof. It's immeasurable. Guys, we're going to get to some polls in a little bit here, but I've seen, one poll had him at 30% approval rating. Now, like, I'll see a casual one at like 35%, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's like right in the middle of where I've seen the polls. The high ones now are like 38%. Everything's in the 30s. Bro, this man is despised, and he's like, everything's great, everything's lovely. Like, his right-wing postmodernism has spiraled out of control, and now it seems like he's chugging his own Kool-Aid. Okay, more. This is where he goes full death cult mode. How many of us have been telling you for how long that this is a motherfucking death cult? The Republican Party is not a political party. It is a death cult. Well, if you were skeptical until now, be skeptical no more, because listen to what he says here.
The people that count, those people love Trump. Because I've done more for you than your parents, okay? Your parents are good. I'm not going to knock your parents, but I have been better to you than your parents. That I can tell you, and they would agree with me. Wherever they may be, they would agree.
I've done more for you than your parents. That's what. Could you imagine any Democratic politician saying that? There's not a Democratic politician alive that would say that shit. The nerve of this man. And again, the nerve of him doing it when he has a 30% approval rating. Like, oh no. Oh no, the cult is getting smaller and smaller, and he's clinging to them. He's hanging on for dear life. You love me, won't you? You better love me. You better love me, or I'll burn this whole bitch down. But I know you love me, don't you? It is getting disturbing, man. All right, more. This speaks for itself. Just listen to this.
For years, you watch companies move production from America down to Mexico. Mexico. I love the way there's a very nice president of Mexico. You know that. She's very nice, and she speaks beautifully, and she calls it Mexico.
What a fucking embarrassment, man. What a fucking embarrassment. What are we doing? All right, there you have it. I mean, what else is there to say? The funeral was an absolute mess. Trump is continuing to humiliate himself and us around the world. As all this is happening, Iran is draxing us on the battlefield in a war we should have never fucking started. It's an illegal, immoral war of aggression. And yeah, he can't even contain himself on fucking Lie Social. He posts the most deranged shit you've ever seen day after day. We are so in over our heads, it is not even funny anymore. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to. So Netanyahu is in the U.S. for Lindsey Graham's funeral and also to talk to Trump, and we have contradictory messages coming out about how his meeting with Trump went. So let me walk you through it here. So first we have Shael here saying the following. An incredibly tense and short meeting between Netanyahu and Trump today after Trump said about Netanyahu's efforts to pressure him to restart the war in Iran fully by presenting him intelligence, quote, "Well, I don't need Bibi to tell me that. Bibi is telling me that because he wants me to stay involved. We know exactly what's going on. But no, I heard Bibi announce that. I said, why don't you just tell it to me? Why do you have to announce it to the world?" Trump reportedly did not want this meeting at all, and he is resentful that Netanyahu got him involved in the disastrous war and will not let him end it. It was probably the shortest meeting the two had ever had, but this does not mean much in terms of Trump freeing himself from the Israeli influence. They continue to have incredible control over what the U.S. does through Rubio, Hegseth, Kushner, and Witkoff, but it is clear that Trump is unhappy with this. So that's what Shael says, okay? But then we have this. So we have Netanyahu, and he does an interview with Fox News, and he says about the meeting the following. Here we go.
You know, you met with the president today.
Yeah.
How'd that meeting go?
It was great. It was one of the best meetings that we've had. And I always hate to disappoint our would-be critics who are trying to find, cracks in our alliance. And what they find, like today, is a wall of granite, because the president is so clear. I mean, we have a common commitment. We don't want to see this fanatic regime in Tehran have nuclear weapons to threaten every American, and to threaten the peace of the world and to threaten the existence of Israel. So we have a common goal, and it's going to be achieved either through diplomatic means or other means. But we're both committed to that, and that's the main headline that I would tell you from this meeting.
Now, I'll say this. I will not believe any narrative about Trump being pissed off at Netanyahu or breaking up with Netanyahu unless and until the U.S. cuts off the money and the weapons going to Israel. Because we saw this roughly 100 times with Netanyahu and Biden. You had Barack Ravid of Axios would say over and over, oh, Biden's really pissed. Oh, Biden's going to break up with Bibi. Oh, it's coming to a boiling point. It's coming to a head. And nothing ever came of it. It was a bear hug strategy, and Netanyahu got anything and everything he wanted. Okay, and now under Trump, he's getting even more of anything and everything he wanted, because at least Biden said fuck off to the Iran war. Trump was duped into doing the Iran war, and he was a willing participant. He fucking wanted to do it himself because he's a massive warmonger himself. So any narrative you hear about, oh, Trump's pissed, he's resentful, well, don't fucking buy it, because he would need to prove that through his actions. And he hasn't. If anything, he's proven he's committed to this and or totally fucking blackmailed by Mossad and Epstein. And that's held over his head until he does whatever the fuck Israel wants on every front. So that's what I would say about that. But let me continue here because I got a lot of updates for you. So we also have this. Netanyahu confirms the war on Iran will restart. Netanyahu asked Trump to strike Iran's nuclear facilities. By the way, he is smiling like a kid in a candy shop. Trump said, yes, sir. Israel's Channel 12 published details of the meeting between Netanyahu and Trump, citing a senior Israeli official. According to this Israeli network, the Israeli official, Netanyahu told Trump that there is no option other than further strikes on Iran's rebuilt nuclear facilities. Also, Trump did not raise any request for Israel to withdraw from any occupied territory. Okay, so there's that. That's a lot more believable than the other shit about, oh, they were actually, Trump's actually mad at him. All right, but how about this? This is super important. Dropsite News is reporting. Jazan shuts down. Yanbu attacked. Saudi Aramco shuts down its 400,000 barrel per day Jazan refinery in southwestern Saudi Arabia following an attack by Ansar Allah. That's the Houthis. Reuters reports, citing the consultancy IR. Okay. This is a huge deal. So as you know, the Strait of Hormuz is shut. Nothing's getting through there except what Iran wants to get through there. And of course, not allowing any allies of the U.S. to get shit through there, period. Okay, that's shut. So is Bab el-Mandeb, which is the strait that the Houthis control. And so with both of those shut, there's virtually no way to get oil out. I think there's still like maybe one other workaround that they use from time to time through Egypt. But 400,000 barrels now with Aramco being hit. Bro, I mean, every day we get worse and worse news about the state of the oil market. And the energy shock is like catastrophic. I'm still waiting. I don't know. I've read 1,000 times over that if you shut down Strait of Hormuz, if you shut down Bab el-Mandeb, and if you blow through the strategic reserve, then you're looking at like anywhere between $6 a gallon or $7 or so a gallon gasoline in the U.S., which of course has incredible consequences associated with it: recession, depression, seizing up of the economy, a real oil shock. That's sort of like we're all bracing and waiting for that to happen because, like, I don't know, how much longer do we have? I don't know. You tell me. I keep reading. It's right around the corner. And here we are. And there's even less oil getting out now through the Strait of Hormuz, through Bab el-Mandeb. You have Saudi Aramco being hit, which is like, that's crucial for the global oil market. So this is all a big deal. All right, how about this? Breaking. U.S. CENTCOM claims all of Iran's ballistic missiles were intercepted. However, there's footage and photos suggesting otherwise, while locals reported impacts. CENTCOM also claimed on July 17th that Iran strikes had not injured a single soldier in a statement denying hits on their forces in Syria. A few days later, around 100 injuries were admitted before eventually 270 injuries were reported, with 3 being killed in Jordan and 1 in Iraq. The U.S. also removed these casualties from its Iran war casualty count. So yet again, they're lying. So Iran did a sneak attack on a U.S. base, and the U.S. goes, oh, we were able to intercept anything and everything. I don't know what you're talking about. But there's evidence that some of the attacks actually got through. And here's one piece of evidence right here. You have this where you could see some sort of contact. Okay. And then there's a video here as well. 18-second video. Let's see. I'll mute it so that we don't get knocked on copyright. But here you have, I guess, attempts at intercepting the missiles. But the U.S. has lied about so much that you can't take their word, especially in the immediate aftermath of one of these attacks. They're always going to try to cover their ass, and they're always going to try to make it sound as good as possible for the domestic audience. So, big deal, sneak attack on a U.S. base. Some evidence indicates some of the attacks got through. Okay, breaking. Spokesman for Iran's armed forces, quote, the president of the United States wants to give Iran's frozen assets to companies and countries that have suffered damage in the war. From now on, we announce that any company or country that accepts this proposal will never be allowed to transit the Strait of Hormuz. In other words, if Trump is trying to use Iranian funds to, pay the Gulf Arab countries, well then we're going to permanently shut down the Strait of Hormuz to them. And so they cannot take, we will consider that theft. It's robbery. It's burglary. You're taking our shit from us. Okay, not happening. That's amazing. This is a big deal. So in every way, every kind of Weasley trick the U.S. tries, Iran is immediately there to be like, and if you do that, here are the consequences, right? I mean, even with the Memorandum of Understanding, the U.S. violated it by just taking a different route through the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran was like, we're not allowing that, and then they warned the ships, and then they attacked the ships. So they are not messing around. They are serious as a heart attack. When they make a deal and they say, here are the terms, they fucking mean those are the terms. And if the U.S. tries to go around it or Israel tries to go around it, it's not happening. It's over. So, for example, Israel, part of the Memorandum of Understanding was that Israel has to pull out of Lebanon. They never pulled out of Lebanon. So Iran goes, okay, then Memorandum of Understanding is dead. And we'll attack whoever we want, whenever we want, because you guys aren't agreeing to the actual terms. You guys are violating your word. So it's all a big deal, bro. This is all a very, very big deal. That's a dire warning for Trump. Stop fucking around, is what Iran is saying here. All right, more. Midas Touch says, breaking, the U.S. and Saudi Arabia launched a joint airstrike on Iran-backed militia targets in Iraq after more than 30 IRGC-directed drone attacks over the past 72 hours per CENTCOM. The statement from CENTCOM comes just hours after Iranian strikes targeted a U.S. base in Jordan. So immediate response from the U.S. and Saudi Arabia working together, okay? And it was a joint airstrike on Shia militias who are aligned with Iran in Iraq. And I had read, this isn't verified, but I had read that it's about 20 people were either injured and or killed in this attack. So the war is still absolutely positively raging. All right, more. Ukraine attacked an Iranian ship the other day. Well, there's reporting that Ukraine actually formally reached out to Iran and basically said hey, it was an accident, right? And so Ryan Rosbiani here says, Iran accepts Ukraine's surrender but demands reparations for damages. So Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi was assured by Ukrainian FM, their foreign minister, that the attack on an Iranian ship was unintentional and Ukraine seeks no escalation. Iran does not seek escalation either, but made clear any attack on our citizens or interests is unacceptable. There must be restitution for losses. So this is, again, kind of a big deal that now you have Ukraine basically saying to Iran, hey, man, we don't want that smoke. And Iran's like, hey, man, that's cool, but at least you got to pay restitution for the fact that y'all fucked up our ship. And I think they killed one person also. So, but in a sense, this is good because the way it was unfolding, it was very clear that you have the outline of a world war unfolding, right? And in the outline of the world war, you have the U.S. and Ukraine and most of Europe, and they're up against Iran and Russia and China. And, I don't know about you guys, but when you have other conflicts getting roped into a different conflict, that's alarm bells to me, right? That's alarm bells to me. And make no mistake about it, I am deeply sympathetic to the Ukrainian cause. They were illegally and offensively attacked by Russia. They're the victim. They're the Iran in this situation. But to the point, Iran is the one that was illegally and offensively attacked by the U.S. So to see these two things sort of married together, just, I don't know, I don't like that. And that is something to fear moving forward, because then the consequences get ever more dire. Because when you have basically a situation set up where it would be attempted direct conflict with the U.S. and Russia, that's two nuclear armed powers. Red alert is all I'll say about that. All right, let me give you some more. Iran seizes 3 oil tankers. The IRGC, 3 oil tankers that ignored our warnings and continued operating in an unsafe and illegal manner were attacked and seized. The naval force of the IRGC warns again, illegal interventions, orders, and prohibitions carried out by the U.S. military, which kills children, will not go unanswered for the ships in the region. All right, more. Reuters says, exclusive, Iran is expected to receive within weeks a first shipment out of up to 400 Chinese-made shoulder-fired air defense missile launchers as it rebuilds its defenses amid war with the United States. So this is the thing that's not being talked about nearly enough, is that it appears like Russia, but actually more importantly, China is really helping out Iran with intelligence sharing, really helping them out with weaponry, with defenses, and they appear to have very, very high-tech stuff that the U.S. was really unaware that they had. I mean, we have ballistic missiles that are now working around our interceptors. And the U.S. was caught flat-footed on that. So, and China's sort of being open about the fact, yeah, we're helping Iran. Trump was out there going, Iran says they're not helping. China says they're not helping Iran. That's what they say. I believe them. And then China comes out the next day and goes, I don't know what you're talking about. Of course we're helping Iran. Yeah, we're on their side. So, again, wild stuff here, man. Emma Vigeland says, update to this. Oman and Iran are now sidelining Washington and talking directly about creating a toll mechanism in the Strait of Hormuz that can benefit them both, plus other Gulf states. A show of good faith by Iran, a disaster on every level for U.S. strategic interests. So let me explain what this means in simple terms. The U.S. empire and our superpower status is donezo. It's over. It's at the very least in jeopardy, but more seriously, just done. This is crazy. This is... countries that are supposed to be under our leadership are going, fuck the U.S. We're going to work around the U.S. We don't care what the U.S. says. We don't care what they do. They're fucking us and they're tanking us and our economic prospects and our future. And so we're just going to work directly with Iran. And that means our sphere of influence is dwindling rapidly by the day because we're led by a bunch of fucking idiot baboons. So that's another huge update. And again, this is stuff you don't hear nearly enough about. All right. Again, Ryan Rosbiani says the following. Israel brags about destroying villages in Lebanon and 70% of everything in Gaza. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz, the head of the Siderat municipality, tells me he doesn't see any houses, just the coastline. We destroyed Gaza. This is a direct quote from him. What is left of Gaza today? Just under 70% of Gaza is flattened to the ground. Then he says, 24 Lebanese villages, they destroyed all the buildings. Not a house, not a mosque. All those villages were leveled, completely destroyed. This is the sort of shit that they say to each other when they're not speaking English, when they're speaking internally in Hebrew. This is the shit that they say to each other. It's that old adage, if you click translate on a Hebrew tweet, it sounds like a lost chapter of Mein Kampf. Well, yes, on all of the Israeli news shows, when they talk to each other, this is the shit they say. And they mean it. It is the most openly genocidal project we've ever seen in modern history by far, because they're proud of it and they brag about it. They boast. And we're all supposed to look at this and think this is fucking salvageable, think you can negotiate with this, think that diplomacy is alive when you see this. No, this is bloodthirsty ethno-state terrorism is what it is. And this needs to be defeated, period. Period. Plain and simple. More. The Israeli army demolished a 120-year-old Palestinian home in the village of Nilin in the West Bank, claiming it did not have a building permit. How can Israel require a building permit for a house that was built decades before the state of Israel even existed? And here's a video of it. Look at this. This is what they do to Gaza. They've leveled 80% of all the houses there, and the buildings just completely and utterly destroyed, totally gone. And they're doing pogroms and mission creep in the West Bank and stealing more and more territory, slowly but surely, building new illegal settlements. And now they're also completely demolishing homes in the West Bank. I mean, they've been doing it for a long time, but now they've really put it on steroids because, the ethno-state project is growing and they're becoming more aggressive by the day because they realize nobody's going to rein us in. Nobody's going to stop us. If the U.S. continues to give us money and weapons no matter what we do, then we'll just keep going as fast as we possibly can. And that's what you're witnessing here. You're witnessing here in real time some of the worst atrocities we've ever seen. Asal Rad says, if you follow Western media, you would have no idea that this was Gaza today because they pretend nothing is happening. So this is Gaza under the ceasefire that Trump got. It was always a fake ceasefire. It was never real. Israel has continued to attack whenever they want, and you get stuff like this happening and nobody even talks about it. I'm not kidding when I say it is by far the most documented genocide in history in real time. By far. By far. And then finally, Dropsite says, Palestinian man Sheikh Farouk Ramadan, whom Israel labeled a terrorist after he defended himself during a confrontation with the armed settlers in the occupied West Bank village of Tel on Friday, was shot dead while unarmed in analysis of 4 videos by Plus 972 magazine and local call found. The footage undercuts the Army's claim that it, quote, neutralized the terrorist who carried out the shooting attack, as previously shared in a post by @IReallyHateYou account on X. Reconstructing the incident from the footage, the outlets lay out the following sequence. So they go through the entire sequence here. This is the guy who was murdered by Israel. Just another day in Palestine. This is what happens. And it keeps happening. The warmongering is completely and utterly out of control from the U.S., from Israel. And it's only going to get worse, y'all. It's only going to get worse.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So Haley Stevens is panicking because the debate with Abdul that happened the other night didn't quite go how she wanted it to. There's a new poll that just came out that has Abdul up 11 points on Haley. Now remember, the election is soon. The election is August 4th. I mean, we're right there, okay? So to have a poll come out, you know, this short time frame before the election that says she's down 11 points, that's kind of devastating. Now, when you look at the Snap polls online after the debate, you had, one of them had Abdul, I believe, with 95% saying he won. And I believe the last I saw, the worst poll for him had him winning with like 67%. Now, understand, the online polls don't mean nearly as much as like actual polls. But having said that, I just told you the actual poll has him up like 11 points right now on Haley Stevens. So her campaign is kind of in panic mode. And they've been acting like it. They've been acting very desperate. I mean, we talked a lot about it, but the fact that she's sending out mailers that imply that Obama endorsed her when Obama didn't endorse her, that's incredibly dishonest. The fact that she's running around saying Mike Rogers wants to run against Abdul, that's incredibly dishonest, because that's actually not what he said. He was asked about how he thinks he would fare against Abdul, and he said, I think I'll win. And he was at a donor event. Like, what's he supposed to say? I'm going to lose? No. And he wasn't asked about Haley Stevens. I'm sure he would have said the same thing if he was asked about Haley Stevens. So they're lying and they're misrepresenting that. The other thing I saw is there was, without a doubt, I believe it's a push poll, just like, honestly, like a fake poll being put out there by the Stevens campaign, which is pretending like Abdul is losing to Mike Rogers by 10 points, but Haley Stevens is beating Mike Rogers by like 2 or 3 points. The reason why I say that's fake, almost certainly fake, is because every other poll we've seen, Abdul outperforms Haley Stevens. And there's even polls where Abdul beats Mike Rogers and Haley Stevens doesn't. So there's a lot of like really desperate tricks being used here by the Stevens campaign. They also are leaning hard into Islamophobia and pretending like, you know, having Haley Stevens supporters saying stuff like, he reminds me of a violent, abusive ex-boyfriend or something, just playing into the trope of like Muslim men or Arab men are violent. And we've covered a lot of this stuff, but again, this debate did not go how Haley Stevens wanted. So let's start with this clip right here, and then we'll break it down. Here we go.
The ads that you see on television, whether you paid for them or whether someone else paid for them, do you think they're doing an injustice to voters by just filling the room with vitriol and hate and not getting to the issues?
Well, look, there was something else that was revealed in the phone call that Abdul was mentioning, which is that he said that he's not going to be able to get much done, that he's not focused on policy for the first 2 years that he is in the United States Senate, that he's going to be focused.
She just makes stuff up, man. It is incredible the extent to which she just makes stuff up.
On national politics. Again, Michigan needs a workhorse, and I am offering these ideas on day one.
Congressman, respectfully, yes, I do want to answer the question.
But
it's about civility.
It's about transparent about what is being said here. And look, Abdul's a great guy. He's a great father. You know, only he can account for saying that, you know, Whitmer's bought and paid for, or that, you know, no one cares about Debbie Stabenow.
Gretchen Whitmer is literally on video saying, we're used to the voters telling us no on the data centers and us doing it anyway. She's on video saying that. She's against Medicare for All because her dad is like an executive at Blue Cross Blue Shield or some shit. It's some like big health insurance company.
Or that Mallory McMorrow isn't smart enough. You know, that is certainly on him to respond to, which we certainly just did hear from him on that.
Dr. I'll say that you have a quick minute.
Look, I told you at the outset that my opponent was going to make this race about me and her.
But this is about you. This is about whether or not you deserve a politics of the people, by the people, and for the people, or of the corporations, by the billionaires, and for the special interests. In an effort to talk about civility, I just took another attack. And I just want you to ask yourself, what is it that you deserve from your politics now? Do you deserve a politician more focused on their opponent because they want to be in a seat? Or do you deserve a politics where we're all asking, how do we actually serve you best? Because that's what I'm focused on here in this debate and been focused on for this entire 15-month campaign that we've been running on.
He's good, man. He is good. And the reason why this race is, I mean, there's many reasons why this race is so important, but it puts the corporate Democrats and the diet MAGA Democrats on notice that the whole Zoran thing is not just about New York City. It's not. If you are running on what is effectively a democratic socialist platform, and you're running on Medicare for all, and you're running on a living wage, and you're running on ending the wars and cutting off our support to Israel and taking that money and reinvesting it back here at home, if you're running on that platform, you can win anywhere. The idea, oh, they only like that in deep blue states or deep blue cities. My ass cheeks. Are you kidding me? No, it can win anywhere, and that's why they're panicking. And that's why, and we'll get to this in a little bit too, but Haley Stevens, the amount of money she's taking from AIPAC is just gargantuan is an understatement. Okay, here's Abdul hitting Haley Stevens over a substantive policy critique, and this speaks for itself. Here we go.
ICE funding 4 times. That's the part that you didn't hear. 4 times voted to raise ICE funding, voted to thank ICE, in fact. So this is the same kind of DC hypocrisy, I hate to say it, that we often see. Say one thing in front of a camera, do another thing. I said that we need to abolish ICE. ICE is not about immigration. ICE is not about the southern border. We can have a safe and secure southern border. We can also enforce immigration policy. But ICE is not about that. ICE is about normalizing paramilitary force on our streets. And I just want to push back on the idea that it's calmed down. I mean, I was just in Genesee County this weekend, and you had raids in Saginaw. People are scared to death, and we've got a congresswoman who tells you that she's against ICE, has voted to raise ICE funding, voted to thank ICE, called the people who work in ICE, I don't know, very fine public servants and other things when she went and visited herself. So I'm just saying that I do the thing that I say I'm going to do. I don't think ICE needs to exist. For the better part of our country's history, we did not have an ICE, and I think we can do a much better job when it comes to immigration without one. And here's the last thing I just want to say about this. When it comes to the question of immigration, we need Democrats who are going to stand up and actually talk about the great good that immigration has done for our country in the first place. The idea that somehow we can't say abolish ICE because we're so afraid of what they're going to say when we've seen ICE terrorize people in our streets, to me, is exactly the kind of cowardice that we don't need from Democrats. So yeah, I'm going to take the bullhorn, and I'm going to say that I think we need to abolish ICE because I am not afraid of what they're going to say about me.
Oh my God, he's so good. He just flipped it right back on them. Bro, I've been screaming this for a hot minute. Like, not only are ICE like a roving gang of criminals, but also, can we just admit immigration is good? Can we just admit that? Can we just admit that, like, that's one of the things that made this country great in the first place? The whole idea of a melting pot, the whole idea of different people and different cultures coming together. Like, this used to be a duh position. This used to be like everybody had to internalize this back in like the 1990s. And then now with the resurgence of white nationalism, it somehow... everybody's got to fight on their turf and pretend like, oh no, I'm against immigration too. I just want to enforce it differently. Fuck that. Let's say full-throatedly, 10 toes down, puff your chest out, and argue immigration is good. Yes, we can still deport violent criminals, but outside of that, I don't really want to deport anybody else. If I'm being honest with you, I think immigrants make this country great. And don't even get me started on the endless list of crimes committed by ICE Gestapo thugs. And clearly, Abdul El-Sayed is very familiar with those crimes as well. All right, more. So here we have Stevens lying and saying she doesn't take DTE money. And Abdul calls her out over that. Here we go.
And from DTE consumers.
No, but let me say this, Roop. I have been transparent. I have been transparent throughout this campaign. And let me just say this, that the only thing that ever motivates my work is the people of Michigan, the people who I hear from. You know, my opponent is on these big podcasts. You know, he's running a podcast himself. These folks are making fun of the way I sound. But yet, I sound like the people who need help, who are talking to me about what they need
Congresswoman,
done.
that was a follow-up to ask the direct question, whether you're taking money from utilities or not. No. The answer is no. Thank you. Dr. El-Sayed, I'm asking you the same question. Any money from anyone that we don't know about?
No and never, but then $40,000 in direct receipts to her campaign from DTE's corporate PAC. And then there's, I don't know, Center for Democratic Priorities, which released its funders, but then they're behind these shell organizations, these 501c4s. So I'd really like to revisit that question because I don't know how to explain $40,000 directly to her campaign from DTE. I'm the only candidate in this race who's never touched a dime of corporate PAC money.
I do want to ask both of you about your campaigns respectively when it comes to certain questions that people have.
So yet again, she just caught speeding, caught lying. He calls her out on that very directly. And here we get into AIPAC.
The question route, because this moment in this country and here in Michigan, people have every right to be frustrated about our campaign finance system. My opponent here on this stage, Abdul, he's got a super PAC that his father-in-law funds that has millions of dollars going into it. And look, in terms of foreign policy, you know, Abdul and I do differ. I believe in a two-state solution. He has attacked me by name for purporting that the people of Palestine and the people of Israel deserve to live side by side peacefully. The goal is always long-term peace. And also, the Prime Minister of Israel has attacked me by name. They both represent the extremes. Look, Michiganders want peace. They deserve to see peace. And that is where I have always cast my vote. And that is the work that I want to do for Michigan and the U.S. Senate.
Specifically about AIPAC money, more than $46 million has been spent on AIPAC spending to back your campaign. A lot of people wonder if that is something where you're going to do their bidding should you win the seat. Is that something people should be concerned about? And if not, why not?
Absolutely not, Roop. Look, I have been very clear, consistent, and transparent, and I have continued to be. I want to see long-term peace. I want to see a two-state solution.
She literally supported Israel throughout the genocide. Let's be clear about that. She supported Israel throughout the genocide.
I am deeply proud to represent one of the largest Jewish populations in a congressional district in the country. This is a community that I have grieved alongside, that I've mourned alongside, and have fought to bring the hostages home. And I'm still working to get us to long-term peace.
But no concern about the $46 million plus spent on the behalf of AIPAC that should worry people about perhaps you doing their bidding should you win the seat?
Well, I don't think there's much.
By the way, people love this moderator here. People have said nothing but positive things about him. He's actually doing his job properly.
Difference between super PACs going in for Abdul or super PACs going in for me. We have a problem with campaign finance reform in this country. I have an A grading from End Citizens United. I have been endorsed by Defend the Vote. I have voted consistently, and I'm going to stop Mike Rogers from getting anywhere close to the United States Senate, which is why he doesn't want to run against me, and which is why somebody like Governor Whitmer is supporting me in this race.
Shout out to the moderator for doing his job, man, because he really held it down. But then also, here's Abdul on the same topic. Here we go.
So I just want to say the difference between us is $46 million of AIPAC spending. They've set a record in this race to help elect my opponent because they know that she'll be a reliable vote, just like she took last week to send your tax dollars to a foreign government that is aiding, arming, and abetting the very people who want to foreclose on the possibility of Palestinian self-determination. Look, at the end of the day, my job is to take care of you here. I want to be your U.S. Senator. I want your tax dollars spent in Michigan to provide schools in Michigan, to build healthcare in Michigan, to build roads in Michigan. And I think that money sent over there to kill kids and women is the worst use of our tax dollars. And yet, that's exactly what $46 million in spending will buy you. And I believe deeply that we have a responsibility to make sure that we don't make other people's problems worse. So I believe in equal rights to peace, dignity, and self-determination for Palestinians and Jewish Israelis alike. I believe that we should not be fighting stupid wars that AIPAC wants us to fight in the first place. And I believe we have a responsibility to keep our money here, to invest here. That really is the difference. We're being outspent in this race 12-1. Chances are you're going to see an ad, probably two of them, on behalf of AIPAC for my opponent in the next commercial break. That's what that buys you, lying about a record around President Obama's endorsement or lying about me and my character. But that's exactly what happens when you stand up and say, maybe Palestinians should have rights too, and maybe we should have rights to our tax dollars here at home.
Truth mogged. Absolutely truth mogged. Haley Stevens is standing there seething. Oh, God damn it, he's too good. What the fuck am I supposed to do here? So pressed on cost of living now, listen to what Abdul says here.
Money from the corporations who are jacking up your prices in the first place. When you're bought off by DTE and Blue Cross and Big Pharma and Big Tech and AIPAC, don't be surprised that there's a pro quo that comes with that quid. That money doesn't just fall off trees. $60 million from outside organizations in this race didn't just come from nowhere. It's because those exact same organizations expect something on the other side, and that's that they get to expect to own your next U.S. senator. So it starts with being able to say, I'm the only candidate in this race who doesn't take any money from corporations. Never have, never will. And then from there, I actually can stand up to them. I can do things like enforce our antitrust policies that haven't been enforced. I can do things like tax billionaires their wealth so we can take that money and invest it in you and your kids, in your schools. I can do things like make sure that rather than sending your money somewhere else to drop bombs on other people and their kids, we can keep that money here at home. And just in case you don't believe me, just think about this. Just last week, our friend here voted to send $3.3 billion of your tax dollars to a foreign government. That is the pro quo that comes with the quid of $30 million spent by AIPAC. So it really comes down to how are you funded?
Senator El Sayed has a ring to it, doesn't it? It certainly does. And then I'll show you guys this. The Haley Stevens campaign is just AIPAC and corporate PACs in a trench coat. And look at this. Outside spending favors Stevens in Michigan's Democratic Senate primary. Outside groups have flooded the race for the Democratic U.S. Senate nomination in Michigan, overwhelmingly favoring Representative Haley Stevens against Abdul El-Sayed. United Democracy Project, the super PAC funded by AIPAC, has spent the most, emerging as a flashpoint in the contest. Add reservations through the August 4th primary. And then as you can see here, look at all of 52.3 million DZACs, bro. Oh my days. Oh my word. Abdul, not even 1 million, 853,000. So understand, this is why this race is so important. They're trying to rub it in your face. They're trying to rub salt in the wound and rub it in your face, that we can take somebody who's not nearly as talented or charismatic a communicator, not nearly as good on the policies, and if we could drag her across the finish line, we can defeat any actual real left-wing candidate that's representing the people, representing the Democratic base. And that's why it all comes down to this race. It's all super important. So if you're in Michigan, get your ass off that fucking couch and go vote for Abdul El-Sayed. Not only do I want him to win, I want him to win by double digits. I want to send a message to AIPAC. I want to send a message to all the corporate Democrats, all the diet MAGA Democrats. Zoran was not a one-off. Zoran is not just a New York City thing. Zoran is the real deal, and we're gonna copy what happened with Zoran all throughout this country and create a strong Democratic Party that will rule for a generation and actually deliver change.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all, we got some new absolutely catastrophic polls that just came out for MAGA, and suffice to say, he is now solidly in the 30s. In fact, I haven't seen a poll with Trump's approval 40 or above in quite a while now. I've seen like maybe 7 polls come out recently, and every one he's in the 30s. I've seen a low of 30%, maybe a high of like 39%, but let me show you this. So let's start with this one. Trump's approval rating in the new CNN poll, 34%. He's net minus 32. His disapproval is 67%. Now, let's get into some of the specifics here, though, because this is incredible. So with independents, minus 52, a new low. White people that didn't go to college, this is his bread and butter, dog. This is like, his people, hardcore, ride or die. Minus 8 with those people, minus 8. White people with a college degree, minus 26. Then you go down the line here. 18 to 34-year-olds, minus 56. 35 to 49, minus 43. 50 to 64, he's minus 10. The idea that people 50 to 64 have turned on him, this is like his fucking, that's like the Gen Xers, right? Like, those are the ones statistically who most support Trump. He's underwater with them. Age 65 plus, minus 14. He's even underwater with the whole demographic group of men, minus 26. So that is a catastrophic poll. How about this one? YouGov, Trump approval among independents, okay? So in October of 2018, right before that midterm election, where Democrats did great, Republicans got stomped, okay? His approval was 38% with independents. Today, July of 2026, his approval is 19%. 19%. You're almost 20 points below, dog. You're 20 points below his approval before Republicans got their cheeks clapped in 2018. They say that's 53 points down from, I guess, the high. It's a record low. Jesus fucking Christ. Net 49-point negative swing. Oh, my days, bro. Like, this stuff, I'm running out of ways to describe how disastrous this is. And we've done other segments where I show you Hispanic voters. In 2024, he almost, it was like a record among Republican politicians with Hispanic voters, with young voters, with independent voters. Now, every single one of those groups has not only fled him, they've fled him and then some. He hasn't reverted to the mean. It's gotten even worse than what the mean was. Okay, how about this one? Again, CNN poll. Trump's net approval. Among independents in 2018, they had him minus 11. Now it's minus 52. White non-college, it was plus 9 in 2018. Now he's minus 8. Men were plus 8 in 2018. Now he's minus 26. This is probably even the biggest red flag for Republicans. In 2018, the midterms where Trump got destroyed, where Republicans got just humiliated, okay? Trump was plus 78 with Republicans. Right now, he's plummeted all the way down to plus 54. So even among his core groups, even among diehard Republican voters, now they're abandoning. So the cult is culting, but the cult is fewer and fewer people. That's the most important way to look at this, okay? And then also, God, this says a lot here too. In the YouGov poll, they ask, which party is more extreme? 51% say Republicans, only 42% say Democrats. And you need to understand, the entire strategy of the right in this moment is to paint Democrats as extremists, paint them as radicals, paint them as out of bounds and unacceptable. They're doing a new Red Scare, new McCarthyism. They're out there. They're communists. They say they're socialists. They're not socialists. What they actually are is communists. That's what they are, is communists. And they keep hitting them over and over. All the ads. They're extreme. They're communists. They want to, confiscate your private property. They want men playing in women's sports. And they have their list, their checklist they go through. They want your tax dollars to fund reassignment surgeries. And they try to hit Democrats. Extreme, 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 extreme. And the American people are listening to this and they're going, yeah, don't buy it. You know who's extreme? You're fucking extreme. You know who's extreme? The people protecting the Epstein pedophiles. They're the extremists. You know who's extreme? The people waging 8 new wars as they lie and say Trump has stopped 8 wars. Those are the extremists. You know who's extreme? The people building concentration camps that ICE is using to shove immigrants in. You know who's extreme? The people who sent 288 innocent people to CKED in El Salvador, where they were tortured and raped. That's who's extreme. You know who's extreme? The people who are doing self-dealing and corruption, the likes of which we've never seen before, where Trump has made billions of dollars since getting back in the White House, and they've allegedly, him and his cronies have profited $9 billion in insider trading just off of his illegal war that he started against Iran. You know who's extreme? You guys are. In fact, there's no other interpretation. The idea that Trump or the Republicans would be looked at as moderate is laughable at this point. They are anything but moderate. In every way, shape, and form, they've destroyed this country. I mean, we're talking 18 million people kicked off Medicaid, millions of people kicked off the SNAP program. Like, are you fucking kidding me? So you're telling people to starve. At the same time, you're allowing coal ash to be dumped in our fresh water. You're rolling back regulations when it comes to radioactivity, which is going to make people sick. You're allowing glyphosate, which is a carcinogenic pesticide, which is going to give a bunch of us cancer. I mean, you've cut pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels. When you look at it, who can look at that and go, oh yeah, whoever they accuse of being extreme must be extreme? Like, no, you're looking at that going, you're the extremist. Look in the fucking mirror. Look in the fucking mirror. So the whole strategy is going to fail. The whole strategy sucks. And by the way, let me be clear. This is not me saying, oh, Democrats are doing a great job. They're not. They're not fighting hard enough. They're not talking about the most important things. They're not hammering away on it. I have many criticisms of the Democrats. They're just like chilling in the cut and waiting for MAGA to self-destruct. But guess what? MAGA is self-destructing. Now, I submit to you, Democrats could be up by 6 points more than what they're up by right now if they actually fought. But make no mistake about it. This is a total rebuke of the Republican Party. This is historic. And guess what? They're plotting like a bunch of different ways to try to steal the election. They know that if they don't do that, this is going to be a blue wave that is just, it is a permanent stain on the Republican brand that's hard for them to recover from. Trump and MAGA, like very famously, when Obama was done and he left the scene, there was a big hole in Democratic politics, and it was tough to fill that, right? Like, the party really revolved around Obama. Well, guess what? Trump is that, except on steroids and human growth hormone. He's that times 100. And so when Trump's gone, the Republican Party is going to fall apart instantly. They're going to be a complete and utter mess. They have no identity. They have no core vision. I mean, if we're being honest, the main thing that seems to be the connecting tissue between all Republicans is sadism. It's sadism. It's wanting to hurt people who don't look like them. It's wanting to hurt every minority group, wanting to do endless war, wanting to gut the social safety net and make people feel pain. Like, that's the connecting tissue. And that's why we say this is not a political party. It's just not. I'm sorry. It's just not a political party. This is a fascist, imperialist, terrorist death cult. is what the Republican Party is. And it's all catching up to them in real time. Because in the midst of all that, they can't even deliver the most basic shit for the American people. Gas prices are over $4 a gallon right now. People fucking hate that. Grocery prices are through the roof. People can't afford fucking steak. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. So which party is more extreme? Absolutely Republicans. The American people are onto it. Honestly, the gap should be way bigger than it is. It's only a 9-point difference. This shit should be fucking 60 points, right? But when you put all this together, the Republicans are in some ways sitting way worse than they were in 2018 before they got obliterated.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all, we got to talk about these data centers, man. There is a massive backlash brewing in the public about these data centers. So they're being put up all over the place, and they're already causing all sorts of problems. They're guzzling up fresh water, which is a big issue, especially now with climate change, making it so fresh water in many places is running out. You also have pollution, just pumping all sorts of garbage into the air. Elon Musk's data center, for example, in Memphis has really like poisoned half of Memphis. Then you also have the noise pollution. And also, I mean, it's what are the data centers being used for? For AI. And the promise of AI is that it's going to take your job and leave you destitute. So people are kind of pissed off. They kind of have no interest in this stuff, and the backlash is brewing, and I got to give you some of these updates here because this is crazy. Let's start with this one. More Perfect Union says, AI is making everyone's life more expensive, according to CNN. Quote, households must spend just over $375 more to purchase the same goods and services as they did this time last year due to AI's inflationary impact, Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics, says. So right off the rip here, you're going, I don't have as much money in my wallet. And they're saying some of that is directly because of these data centers. And by the way, you ain't seen nothing yet. They're going to hog the electricity like nobody's business, bro. They are going to hog the shit out of our energy. And on that point, more here from More Perfect Union. Listen to this.
Something happened on Wednesday morning that you might have noticed but didn't bat an eye. It happened inside thousands of your homes and businesses, and experts say it's a sign the cracks are starting to show in our power infrastructure.
Yeah, just before 8 a.m., the electricity flickered on and off for about 10 minutes. It was the result of data centers in Loudoun County, Virginia. In a story you will only see on News 4, Northern Virginia Bureau reporter Drew Wilder explains why engineers say this seemingly small blip is a sign our infrastructure is in danger.
Experts say the cracks in our infrastructure grid are starting to show as the data center industry consumes electricity at a rate the world has never experienced. Wednesday morning, that crack became visible to millions of Americans inside their own homes in a seemingly small way.
This is what experts are worried about, right? The data centers are such a big load on the grid that they can have detrimental impact on the surrounding grid.
Bob Marshall runs Ting Labs and sells this little device that plugs into your wall to monitor your home's electricity, and it can alert you if something's awry. It's all to prevent an electrical fire.
You plug it in, connect it to Wi-Fi. It takes 30 million electrical measurements every second.
And with millions of these devices in homes across the country, Marshall's data collection saw something that he says should be a concern for all of us. He says at 7:56 Wednesday morning, our lights flickered because the electricity supply dropped, then spiked, then dropped, then spiked before leveling off about 10 minutes later. Electric grid instability felt from Chicago to Boston to Miami. The source, he says, Data Center Alley.
This one event serving either one building or whatever that data center complex is in Ashburn impacted the entire region here. And, you know, this is what experts are worried about.
Dominion Energy tells News 4 a transmission line servicing a data center failed, so the data centers switched to their own power supply, temporarily leaving the grid. In a statement to News 4, a Dominion Energy spokesperson said, quote, Dominion Energy did not disconnect area data centers from the grid. The data center's own control systems transferred them to backup power for a very short period of time. Think of it like ripples in water. The data center is switching their power source as the rock, and when that change impacts the water, or the power grid in this analogy, the massive shift in electricity load sent ripples through the electric current across half the country. Ting Labs provided News 4 with this graphic that shows the scale of the service disruption. The company says the colors on this map should all stay the same. The big changes in colors means there's a change in electric frequency. It covers more than half of the United States.
People working on regulations around this is they're concerned that one of these events in the future could cause the grid to become unstable, and it does not come back to normal in a few minutes or 10.
Yeah, that seems like a big deal, doesn't it? Moving forward, because of climate change, because of extreme weather events, because of extreme heat, we're going to be dealing with blackouts, we're going to be dealing with brownouts, we're going to be dealing with all sorts of serious issues, and these data centers being added on top of it, hogging all the energy, This is, we're just seeing the beginning of this fight, y'all, because people are not going to stand for this. They're just not. They're just not going to stand for their AC going out, their power going out when it's 93 degrees outside because, a data center is hogging all the energy down the road and they help lead to this. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And by the way, let's talk about how dumb we are in the sense that the Trump regime is doubling down and tripling down and quadrupling down on fossil fuels, on dirty energy. At the same time, we should immediately be moving over to wind energy, solar energy, geothermal, like all sorts of green and renewable technology. That's obviously where we need to go. And they're doubling down on the technologies and the dirty energy of the past. I mean, you cannot create a dumber scenario than what we're looking at. So look at this, by the way. So new Democratic primary poll for the Wisconsin governor, okay? Francesca Hong is leading, and she's leading big, bro. 44%. The closest one to her is 15%. Now, she's Democratic socialist, and she is the real deal Holyfield, y'all. Like, she's all about it. And one of the big parts of her campaign is we need a moratorium on data centers. We can't do this shit anymore, okay? And then when you look at the issues that are impacting the vote choice here, look at this. The number one issue is arguably data centers, but it's really like healthcare, data centers, and affordability all rolled up into one. But data centers are arguably number one, numero uno. So I don't think many politicians understand the backlash that's brewing over this and how if you're caught flat-footed on this, if you're behind on this, if you're not with the public on this, if you have sold out to these companies, oh, there's going to be serious, serious consequences for it, man. People are not going to put up with it. They're just not. By the way, how about this? From Bloomberg, new OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google DeepMind staff are circulating a letter asking the U.S. government to support a mechanism that could help deliberately pace AI development if needed because of risks of the technology becoming out of control. Now, by the way, they would not write this unless it was already at the point where it's basically out of control. I'll just tell you that right now. They wouldn't do this unless they were already like, holy shit, we've seen some shit that's totally out of control. And so that should worry you in and of itself, that you got people openly saying, yeah, maybe this will destroy humanity. Maybe it'll take everybody's job. Maybe it'll destroy humanity. Maybe it'll end all life on Earth. But by the way, we also need a gazillion data centers that hog all the energy in order to keep these AIs that are going to destroy the Earth running. Well, who in their right mind would agree to that? You have to be the dumbest person on earth to agree to that. That's so crazy. Okay, how about this? AI companies are bulk buying rare books, scanning them through high-speed machines that cut the spines off and shredding the originals. A service called ISBN-DB facilitates orders of up to 1 million books and keeps buyers anonymous. Pre-2022 books are premium because they're free of AI-generated text. A federal judge ruled the practice is fair use because eliminating the original means only one copy exists at a time. Anthropic hired the former head of Google Books partnership to obtain all the books in the world. What the fuck are we even talking about? Some of this stuff just sounds like straight supervillain stuff. Politico says OpenAI's rogue models roamed the internet for 4 days and staged a second attack. Did we just collectively take a suicide pact as humanity that I missed? Right? Did I not see it? Did everybody just agree to, be incredibly self-destructive for all of humanity and for this planet? Like, what are we talking about? I don't even know what this means. I don't even know what this means. So now there's like evidence of AI trying to destroy the world and not listening and going rogue. And they're still saying we need to build 1,000 more data centers to continue to build this AI that's going to kill us all. Now, with all that going on, here is the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. He goes on Hannity's show and listen to what they have the nerve to say on this exact topic. Here we go.
Question at you. Elon Musk gave an interview, I believe, to The Economist, and he said that in 5 to 6 years, we will have more than we'll have 5 times the size of the economy we have now. And he talked about abundance. And he talked about every American having every need. And there won't be even a need to save, for your retirement like we have historically because of this, quote, abundance that he believes AI will create. Do you believe that?
I do, but I think I would change the timeline.
You have got to be kidding me. So as Joel Montfort says, the idea that AI will create this utopia in the U.S. that will give us all free time is absurd. The billionaires who control everything in this country have shown no interest in making America a better place on their own, and they wouldn't allow it. Back in the day, the robber baron billionaires at least gave us fucking the arts and libraries and all sorts of shit because they realized, hey, I kind of got way too much money and everybody else has nothing, so I got to give back in one way or another to avoid, my head on a pike. Now, today's billionaires, they don't do shit. They don't give you shit. They're openly saying, we're going to create AI that's going to take your job, leave you destitute, ruin your life, and then you're going to have to deal with it. But also will dangle over your head at the same time. It might destroy everything, or it'll be fully automated luxury communism where you don't have to do anything and it'll take care of your every need and then everything will be great. Guys, I hate to tell you, neither one of those scenarios is good. If it takes everybody's job and leaves everybody destitute, that's horrible and we shouldn't allow AI to continue. But it's also not good if it does literally anything and everything for humanity and renders us fucking useless, renders us with no sense of meaning, no sense of purpose. Like, what are we even talking about here? But also, that's a total fucking pipe dream and it's completely and utterly made up to allow them to keep making this demonic technology and get phenomenally wealthy doing it. All right, so here's this. Data center protesters interrupt Trump event. Wouldn't be surprised if these become more common during the midterms. So look at this. It's a new era, bro. We're in a new era, and I don't think a lot of politicians are ready for this. Watch. Stop data centers. They have signs saying stop data centers, and they're chanting. Do you guys know that Corpus Christi, Texas is literally running out of water? And they have a plant there. It's not a data center, to be fair, but they have a plant there that like sucks up all the water. This is the future we have to look forward to, by the way, if we allow them to get away with this. And this is why you're seeing people, there are massive backlash against this. Look at this from Fact Post. A high school teacher in Kansas was arrested for clapping in opposition to a proposed data center during a city council meeting. You have got to be kidding me. Watch this. Here we go.
Table belongs to us. Thank you. All right, next one. Ask him to leave.
Ask him to leave? What?
Can I? Can I say that? Chief, will you take the next person out that claps or anything, please? Thank you. Yes.
Full authoritarianism for a bunch of AI tech demons who are wealthier than God, who are building their doomsday bunkers and actively trying to destroy the world. And by the way, the entire Republican Party is bought and owned by these people. The entire Republican Party. Trump, in the same way he's never told Israel no, he's never told these AI tech demons no. Not once. Never. Ever. So that's what you need to understand. Democrats need to wake up. Democrats need to get with the times because this can't continue, bro. This can't continue. We cannot waste all of our energy on these horrific projects that don't even have a promise of a positive future. I mean, it's insane that we just, like, we're doing the most self-destructive things imaginable, and nobody's really putting a stop to it. Well, it's time for the people to rise up, and they're beginning to do that, and I think you're going to see a hell of a lot more of this.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all, we got to talk about it. It seems to be happening. It appears to be happening that James Talarico is surging into the lead over Ken Paxton. So this is a big deal, but new poll just came out. Talarico 45%, Ken Paxton 40%, not sure is 14%. And the net favorables, Talarico is plus 12, whereas Paxton is minus 13. That's a big difference, y'all. That's a big difference. There was one other poll that had him leading, and when I saw that poll, I was like, that's great, but it's Texas, always a grain of salt, always got to be careful with it. But now there's another poll here that Talarico is leading. And if I remember correctly, Talarico dropped a little bit in terms of his support. Like, I think he had 47%, now he dropped to 45%. But Paxton lost even more than Talarico did. And I think the more this campaign goes on, and the more people hear and see who Ken Paxton really is, the more of a chance Talarico has, because he's got so many skeletons in his closets, man. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, this guy is bad news, Paxton. And Talarico is going to continue to highlight that. So here we go. Take a look at this. A massive shift among Latino voters in the Texas Senate race, and that's a big deal. So in May, it was Paxton plus 4. By July now, it's Talarico plus 46. What's happening is, and I love this about Talarico, is he's taken Christianity and flipped it against the Republicans, because Republicans always run on holier than thou stuff, and they act like they're Christians and they love Jesus and they're all about it, and that informs how they govern and the policies they support. But Talarico's gone out there and he said, well, I'm a Christian and my Christianity tells me we should expand healthcare. I'm a Christian and my Christianity tells me we should be in favor of the SNAP program and get kids getting food. I'm a Christian and my Christianity tells me we should be against the billionaires and want to tax the billionaires and want to end the wars. So he's taken Christianity and really like repurposed it and owned it and said, look, I'm representing the real Christianity. I'm trying to govern like Jesus would if he was around today. And these Republicans are nothing but hypocrites and liars and sadists. And you know what? I'll be damned. It is absolutely positively working in this moment. Again, look, I'll caution everybody. We've been through this before. We've been through this with Allred, although Allred I don't think ever polled as good as Talarico. We've been through this with Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke nearly defeated Ted Cruz. And there's all this talk about, Texas is eventually going to turn blue. It's eventually going to turn blue, but it keeps getting postponed. Like, it'll be the next cycle and the next cycle and the next cycle. What I'll say is this. If there's a chance of that to happen, this is the election cycle where it would happen. It really is that simple. If there's a chance it's going to happen, it would happen now. Let me also say, by the way, I'm very disappointed in Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett, I've always liked Jasmine Crockett because she's been a fighter against Republicans, and I respected that massively, and I think she's a unique talent in how she takes on Republicans. Having said that, the fact that she hasn't endorsed Talarico yet is wild to me. It's wild to me. We actually have an opportunity here to really give a death blow to MAGA in the sense that they lose Texas. Trump's hand-picked candidate loses Texas. And she's not doing all hands on deck to try to support him. If anything, at this point, she's still somehow undermining him. And by the way, she's on a tour where she's endorsing like all of the most corporate and diet MAGA Democrats in the country. That is incredibly, incredibly disappointing. And it sucks. I mean, hopefully she comes to her senses and she decides I'm gonna go ahead and ride hard for him because, I don't know. Will it come down to black turnout in Texas? I don't know. We're gonna see. We're gonna see if that's what ends up happening. The black community is overwhelmingly loyal Democratic voters, but the turnout amount matters, and the number of people that get out there to vote matters. And hopefully, everybody will turn out for James Talarico because there is no race that is where you can see a more clear difference between the candidates than this fucking race right here. Don't even get me started on Ken Paxton's dirty ass history. I mean, when Texas Republicans try to impeach you as a Texas Republican, it's bad. Bro's got like more criminal charges than I can count. He's up there in Trump land with the number of charges he has against bribery, corruption. He can't keep his dick in his pants. He cannot keep his dick in his pants. He's got a new woman he's with seemingly every other week. He's shaking down his own supporters and using that money for personal gain. I mean, the stuff from the stuff from Paxton is insane. And Talarico's going to highlight that shit. Now, meanwhile, what is Paxton going to do? Well, I'll show you exactly what Paxton is going to do because this is all they fucking have. So prepare yourself. But this is the sort of campaign that they're going to run. Here we go.
James Talarico is a hypocrite when it comes to fighting for families. Talarico wants to teach trans ideology in schools and let boys compete in girls' sports. Talarico says it's immoral to use the oil and gas that employs millions of Texans. Talarico wants higher taxes and policies that'll raise prices on families. Hypocrite James Talarico will do anything to push his radical agenda, even if it leaves families broke and jobless.
I'm Ken Paxton, and I approve this message.
Insane. The lies are insane. It is just the amount of bullshit in this. You've got to be kidding me. Using oil and gas is immoral. He's against that. What does that even mean? What does that mean? Is Talarico going to vote to ban gas? What are you talking about? Completely mad. He loves trans people. Disgusting. He loves trans people. What is this? They have nothing. And that's why all you've seen from Trump, all you've seen from these other Republicans is Red Scare McCarthyism. They're rebooting Red Scare McCarthyism, and they're going, communist, they're all communists. They say they're socialists. Actually, they're communists. They're extreme. They're radicals. Meanwhile, a poll just came out. We just discussed it. Voters across this country said by nearly a 10-point margin that the Republican Party is far more extreme than the Democratic Party. So they can try to do it. They're extreme. They're crazy. But it turns out when people look around and they see that gas prices are over $4 a gallon, when they look around and they see unemployment going up, when they look around and they see their grocery bill has increased by 10% or more, when they look around and they can't afford a steak, when they see 18 million people losing their Medicaid, more people than that just losing their health care, period, people losing their food stamps, they're going to go, you know what? I think you're like fear-mongering here is really not going to land. It's not going to work. So we'll see, bro. Everybody go support James Talarico's campaign. He's always up there on Act Blue. I think there's a lot of races that might surprise people, bro. I think there are. I think Iowa is in play in a way that people never would have thought previously. I really think they're in play. I think Kentucky potentially is in play. Go support Charles Booker. There's a lot. Maine, of course, with Troy Jackson. The list goes on, but it can happen. It can happen. And now to have multiple polls in a row that have Talarico leading Paxton, here's the thing I fear the most, though, and you all know this. What I fear the most is what they're going to do if/when Talarico wins, because Texas Republicans are flat out evil, bro. I mean, they are they're the type of people. They did the Death Star law. They made it so if you're a locality in Texas and you want to raise the minimum wage, they ban you from doing that. They banned extreme heat work breaks. Okay? These people they're sadistic. Ken Paxton bragged on camera to Steve Bannon after the 2020 election saying, I got 2.5 million ballots for Joe Biden thrown out. I got 2.5 million mail-in ballots thrown out that Biden won by a significant margin. And if it wasn't for me, Biden would have won Texas. This is what he's saying, bragging about stealing the election. So even if we win, we're not out of the woods because of what these people are liable to do, bro. That's what you need to understand. Trump has unleashed a beast on this country. And that beast is rank authoritarianism that really doesn't give a fuck about democratic elections. So prepare yourselves, bro. But as of right now, there are some signs, y'all. There are some signs we're seeing here.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
All right, y'all, we got to talk about this. This is crazy, and it shows you the difference between the political parties, okay? So Isaac Saul says, according to newly released court filings and allegations, Republican Representative Max Miller from Ohio, son-in-law of Senator Bernie Moreno, poured hot water on his wife, put a gun to her head, and may have broken his 2-year-old daughter's collarbone. Bro has a track record of violence. I think I also read that an ex of his also said, oh yeah, he's violent. He's an abuser. That's what he is. We know all of this. So as Crystal points out, horrifying allegations, the child reportedly told her mom, quote, Daddy's house is scary. Current elected MAGA Republican representative in the caucus with them, in the caucus. And by the way, Republicans have known about this. This guy gave a speech going after the corrupt con man and criminal, George Santos, and then George Santos responded to him and said, you're a woman beater. That was all the way back in 2022, 2023. They've known about this. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. Look at this. A Democrat accused of having a sexual encounter, a woman later regrets. Half the party called for his resignation. Republican pours hot water on his wife, puts a gun to her head, and suspected of breaking his 2-year-old daughter's collarbone. Crickets. Remember, the kid said, Daddy's house is scary. That's what the kid said. Al Franken, I just posted about this the other day. Al Franken was forced to step down by other Democrats. Why? Because there was a picture of him when he was doing, when he was a comedian, and he was doing, a show in Iraq. On the way back, you had a woman who was sleeping, a female soldier who was sleeping. She was wearing a bulletproof vest, like a flak jacket type thing. And Al Franken took a picture where he's pretending to grope her and grab her breasts. Not actually touching her, pretending to grope her and grab her breasts. Again, she's wearing the flak jacket too, right? They saw that. The party coalesced and said, you need to fucking resign. So that's what gets you kicked out. If you're a Democrat, that's what gets your own party to say, get the fuck out. But if you're a Republican, you can literally assault your daughter and your wife repeatedly with horror stories and completely get away with it. It seems to me like this is not something that can continue. This is not, democracy cannot continue if this is how extreme the double standards are. Okay, but I'm not done. Now let's go to, here's MS Now. We have Chris Hayes, and he's talking about the allegations. Here we go.
In a Republican House caucus that has a lot of powerful, scandal-ridden figures, the member of possibly the most serious allegations swirling around him is also one of the least known. The pressure is now building on Ohio Congressman Max Miller. This month, Mother Jones Magazine obtained 2,000 pages of court filings and police reports related to Miller. Records detailing allegations of drug use by Miller, misogyny and verbal abuse, and violent behavior against multiple women, including his ex-wife, Emily Moreno. She's the daughter of Ohio Republican Senator Bernie Moreno.
By the way, that guy, Bernie Moreno, was just grilling Dr. Fauci. And it's like, you're grilling Dr. Fauci harder than you grilled your son-in-law who beat the shit out of your daughter. What kind of shit is that, bro? By the way, and the idea that this is like the only one, there's so many of these Republicans have the darkest secrets you've ever seen. Remember Scott Desjardins? Go read about Scott Desjardins, a pro-life Republican who had like multiple of his mistresses get abortions that he forced them to get. That's who these people are. Oh, my days.
Last February, the documents show, Moreno took her and Miller's 2-year-old daughter to the ER with a broken collarbone. According to Mother Jones, police records show that Moreno told detectives that Miller had previously thrown hot water at her, shoved her, and held a gun to her head. Therefore, she couldn't rule out that Miller caused their daughter's fracture. A child protection specialist reviewing the case said the bruising around the fracture resembled a handprint. Moreno never filed a police report. Miller said the bruises might have come from a seatbelt. The investigation found insufficient evidence of a crime. But Moreno did tell detectives something she said her daughter told her, quote, "Daddy's house is scary." A spokesman for Miller referred Mother Jones to previous statements denying Miller has ever committed violence against women. Moreno's lawyer declined Mother Jones' request for comment. Now, Miller has represented Ohio's heavily Republican 7th District since 2023, after first holding several jobs in Donald Trump's first administration. Trump called him a great guy, supported his campaign for Congress. But multiple sources at the time told Politico that Miller's prior romantic relationship with former Trump Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham, remember her, ended when he pushed her against a wall and slapped her in the face in his Washington apartment. Miller denies those allegations. But in a column for the Washington Post, Grisham wrote that she had told Donald and Melania Trump she was abused by a fellow White House staffer and they didn't act on the information. To the contrary, she wrote in this column, knowing what he knows, Trump has endorsed my ex's bid for Congress. Now, as Miller runs for re-election, Republican lawmakers remain largely silent about these shocking allegations of violence. Nikki McCann Ramirez is a politics reporter at Rolling Stone.
Now, by the way, let me also point out Corey Mills of Florida. Do you guys know about Corey Mills? So he's a Republican congressperson, big-time MAGA guy, and he has the list of scandals this guy's involved in. Okay, revenge porn threats. He's accused in a Florida police report of threatening to release sexually explicit videos and images of a woman following a previous relationship. So threatening to do revenge porn, and there's evidence of it, okay? Assault. A 2025 police report detailed an incident where Mills allegedly grabbed, shoved, and then pushed his then-girlfriend out of his apartment door. So physical altercation with his then-girlfriend. By the way, I'm pretty sure he's married, and then the girlfriend's like on the side type shit. House ethics investigation. So he's formally under investigation by the House Ethics Committee for alleged sexual misconduct. So a new thing. And by the way, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening because you know these Republicans, they protect their own no matter what. They endlessly protect their own. There's a DOJ criminal investigation. He's under scrutiny for the misuse of official congressional resources and campaign financial fraud. He's linked to a Florida lawsuit exposing his private defense contracting firm to more than $66 million in outstanding debt. So he's got a private defense contracting firm. At the same time, he's a sitting congressperson. That alone is absolutely mental. That should be illegal 1,000 times over. Then on top of that, apparently, he's faced stolen valor accusations. That, you all know what stolen valor is. The idea that, like, he claims to be some sort of wartime hero, and that's a total fucking fabrication. So, and this is just another day that ends in Y when it comes to the Republican caucus. And none of this is talked about. Nothing's actually been done about it. Oh, there's an investigation. I'm sure the Republicans are going to investigate themselves. I'm sure like the IDF investigates themselves. I'm sure it'll all work out. But this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're up against. So I keep telling Democrats, you need to be more ruthless. You need to be more ruthless, and you need to go after the other side. Stop with this fucking, like, Al Franken should still be in there. I'm sorry. He never should have fucking been forced to step down. Never. And when they tried to get him to, he should have said, fuck off. That's what should have happened. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the double standards. Either everybody plays by the same rules, or if you want to do fucking free for all, nothing matters, okay, then free for all, nothing matters on both sides. Okay? Me personally, I want there to be rules, but they need to be applied evenly. And if they're not, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear from these Republicans. So, just crazy, bro. Just crazy. The stuff that they get away with, the stuff that they do and then puff their chest out and say, we don't fucking care what you have to say. It's a new political era, and Democrats need to wake up to this political era. Our politics is broken, and I refuse anymore to be engaged in a system here where they can get away with anything and we get away with absolutely nothing, and then they play the victim and whine and cry and bitch and moan and act like they're the ones who have the stricter standards. They can shut the fuck up forever, and we need to get real serious about this modern era that we're in. By the way, he has an opponent, and this is the Democrat running against him. So Max Miller, the child beater and wife beater, his opponent is Brian Poindexter. And listen to his ad.
With the way things are going, I don't think working people like you and me are going to hold on much longer. I mean, we're working harder and harder, and we're getting less and less. Growing up in the 80s on the west side of Cleveland, we didn't have much, but an honest day's work was enough to provide for your family. My dad was a machinist with the IAM for 46 years. That one job was enough to support a family of 8. That is obviously not possible anymore. I got my first job at a machine shop at 15 years old. I worked 7 days a week. It was 1995. I was making $6 an hour, which at the time wasn't that bad. You know what's really messed up? Is minimum wage is barely more than I made over 30 years ago. We're hurting, man. We're hurting just to boost the profit margins of those who have too much. What really pisses me off is we're struggling to make ends meet, and we got a guy on pace to be a trillionaire. Our whole district could be millionaires with the amount of money that one guy's going to accumulate for himself. And good people can't even get SNAP benefits? That's crazy to me. And I'm tired. I am tired of the Republicans who are in the pockets of the rich and the corporations. I'm tired of the sellout Democrats too, the ones who fight for everybody else except for the working people. We have to fundamentally change who has power in our country. The time is now. We don't have time to wait. We got to raise the minimum wage. We got to protect workers. We got to strengthen unions, save Social Security, and guarantee health care. I'm Brian Poindexter. I'm a dad. I'm a union iron worker. I'm a Browns fan. I'm a Brook Park City Council member. And I'm running for Congress to end this corruption. Our current congressman, he was born rich. He doesn't know what it takes to struggle. He is going to pour millions of dollars into this race to try to silence me and you. He is a stain on Northeast Ohio. And with your help, we're going to send him packing. I don't want to think about politics. I just want to go build stuff. But the politicians in Washington are making things worse. They're making life harder, and they're cheapening our labor. And I feel a tremendous responsibility to stand up for working people like you and me. I am asking you to join me because this might be our last and only shot to get things back on track, to tell the billionaires where to shove it, and to finally fight for working people.
Y'all know what to do, man. Brian Poindexter. Make him a congressman.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
Stephen Miller, or as I like to call him, Micropenis Goebbels, he crashed out at Democratic Socialists and AOC and Ilhan Omar, and this man clearly has zero ability to analyze himself. Okay, because what he delivers here is just incredibly ironic. Listen to this.
These are people
dressing his mouth. You don't have that suit at home?
I don't. Very popular in the Democratic Party. But that just underscores, Sean, the people you mentioned, the names you mentioned, AOC, Bernie, the Squad, Omar, these are people who even 10 or 15 years ago would have been relegated to the outer extreme fringes of the Democrat Party. They're now the center of the party. They're the heart of the party. They're the soul of the party. So the Democrats have become a party of freaks, weirdos, losers, and crazies. But you can't laugh it off because it's deadly serious. Wow. When you give these people power, everything you know and love in this world falls apart. You have chaos, corruption, decay, violence, poverty.
That's how it ends.
Freaks, weirdos, losers, and crazies, he says. Homie, you're Stephen Miller. Your whole aesthetic is literally jacked from Goebbels, the Nazi twerp. Okay? You don't even really hide the fact. Trump himself said, you know, Stephen Miller, you can't tell people what he really thinks, because if he did, people would be like, oh, that's a little extreme. He's a little extreme. Yes, this is the guy who came up with the idea to disband the part of the government that goes after human trafficking and drug cartels and actual violent criminals, and he told immigration officials, no, go raid the fucking Lowe's parking lot. Go raid the Home Depots. Go storm into the salons. This is the guy who did that. And he's saying others are extremists. You have got to be kidding me. He had the nerve to say, if these DSA people take over, the corruption is going to run rampant. Nobody has ever seen a crime spree like we've seen. Nobody's ever seen the immense level of corruption like we've seen right now being done by your fat pedophile, warmonger, terrorist, con man boss. You have got to be kidding me. What a sick joke. What a sick joke. He said, back in the day, they would have been considered the fringe. Well, tell me exactly what's fringe about them. What's fringe? He's right that now they're the mainstream and now they're the heart and soul of the party. That's right, but they always should have been that. And by the way, the Democratic voters on the issues have always agreed with Democratic socialists, whether or not they realized it. What exactly is fringe or extreme about universal health care, which every other developed country has one version or another of, and we don't? What's extreme about that? What's extreme about making the minimum wage a living wage? What's extreme about raising taxes on the wealthy, which like 80% of the country wants to do, including many Republicans? What's extreme about that? You tell me what's extreme about that. There's absolutely nothing. The fact of the matter is, ending the wars, ending the endless support for Israel, raising taxes on the rich, giving people child care and education and health care, all that stuff is incredibly popular. And so all they have to try to get you to turn on AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and Democratic Socialists, all they have is fucking smears and straw mans and just endless fucking twisting of their words, trying to pretend like they're something that they're not. They have nothing. They have nothing. And for the man who, I mean, this guy looks like a vampire, okay? He looks like a twerp vampire. He looks like the modern day iteration of Goebbels. He's a guy who spray painted his head with like seemingly actual spray paint when he was trying to cover up the fact that he's bald. And for him to call anybody else a loser, a freak, a weirdo, a crazy, like, you have got to be kidding me. Zero self-awareness. The lack of self-awareness is absolutely positively off the charts. I've never seen anybody with such an insane lack of self-awareness. It's almost like they're rubbing it in your face that we are the extremists, we are the crazy people, but we're just going to see how long we can get away with this where we try to call the others extremists and crazy. What's more extreme, universal health care or shoving immigrants in concentration camps? I'll wait. What's more extreme, protecting all of the Epstein elite pedophiles or wanting to raise the minimum wage? I'll wait. You tell me what's extreme. What's more extreme, Donald Trump making billions of dollars off the White House or fighting for universal child care? I'll wait. You tell me what's more extreme. In every single way, this man is completely and utterly full of shit. He's a liar. He's deranged. He's disgusting. And make no mistake about it, he is the architect of everything that Trump has done when it comes to ICE. He's the architect of it. And that means it is directly on his hands that now our government is engaged in abductions and mass kidnappings, and that they've destroyed due process. We no longer have due process in this country. He is directly responsible for the fact that over 4,000 people are missing because of ICE. That I believe 53 or 54 people have died in ICE custody. He's responsible for the fact that ICE is accused of doing slavery at their detention camps, that there are literal criminals joining ICE. People were astonished when they learned about the most recent ICE killer and his long track record of being mentally deranged, assaulting his wife. The last person in the country you would ever give a gun and a badge to, and Stephen Miller did it with a smile on his face. Why? Because he wants criminals to do Trump's dirty bidding. That's why. And he has the nerve to call Democrats extremists. He has the nerve to call AOC an extremist. Are you fucking kidding me? You've got to be kidding me. This guy's group of paramilitary thugs assaulted an 84-year-old married couple, but Democrats are the extremists? This guy had his ICE thugs shoot a priest in the face with pepper balls, knowing he was not a threat to anybody, but it's the Democrats, it's Ilhan Omar that's the problem. You gladly support the genocide in Gaza, but where the problem, where the issue, DSA? You got an issue with Hassan Piker when all he's trying to do is get people fucking healthcare and end the wars? God, man, it's just they literally like tear gas babies and ran over journalists with cars and zip tied kids and put them in the back of U-Haul vans. Okay. And again, they have the nerve to come after us and act like we're the problem. You're the motherfucking problem, bro. You're the problem. You've always been the problem. And he knows that. He knows that deep down. So it's amazing to me that they still use this guy as a spokesperson. It's amazing to me. And by the way, he is the reason why ICE went right back at it, and now they got to arrest 2,000 people a day, is all because Stephen Miller is steering the car, bro. He's in charge of this shit. So it's just rich that they send this guy out as a spokesperson when he's literally like one of the most unlikable people I've ever seen on camera ever. Zero charisma, zero communication skills. He's just like a derpy little Nazi twerp is what he is. And it is quite embarrassing and quite disgusting. And unfortunately, we're going to be dealing with his nonsense for quite a while longer. But you know what? He belongs in prison. And I hope the next Democratic president picks Attorney General Jack Smith and he has a field day with this guy, because this guy is one of the leading criminals in the Trump regime.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
So at this point, y'all, I genuinely don't understand what CNN is doing, who it's for, because, you know, when you turn on Fox News, you know what you're getting. You're getting state regime propaganda. You're getting MAGA propaganda, Republican propaganda pumped directly into your bloodstream. You're getting boomer poison that has brainwashed, you know, your dad or your grandfather. Like, that's what you're getting. And there is no counterweight to that. That it's not like MS Now is not like the left-wing version of Fox News. They're not like an extremist outlet that's doing propaganda. No, they just do like, they're like a center-left outlet. You know, that's it, right? And then you have like CNN, for example. And what is CNN? CNN is a false equivalence factory. It's a both sides factory. And they've convinced themselves like, oh no, we need to have Republican voices in the room because if we don't, it's not fair. Really? Well, Fox News has like 90% right-wing hacks, and the 10% Democrats they bring on, minus Jessica Tarlov, who does a decent job, but all the rest of them are just like, they're there to play the heel and get railroaded, right? And so, like, you don't need to do this. You don't need to do this. You don't need to say, hey, for balance's sake, we need absolute depraved liars to be in the room. You don't have to do that. You could actually just go out there and do your job and give people news and information and educate them and tell them this thing called the truth. You could just do that. But they don't want to. They don't want to. Especially now that, you know, Trump's billionaire buddy, the Ellisons, you know, the Ellisons have taken over CBS News. They've taken over TikTok. They're trying to take over CNN. Now CNN and Tap Jaker, for example, they know like, oh shit, Barry Weiss is going to have control here. So now they're trying to go even further right and further right. It's humiliating. And, you know, all the good media outlets are non-existent now. Like, you get some decent ones in online media and independent media, but like they are very few and far between. Well, anyway, that's a long-winded way of me saying, here's a MAGA person on this panel who shouldn't even fucking be on this panel because they're a disgusting liar. And thankfully, they get immediately called on their shit by Isaiah Martin and by Abby Phillips. So shout out to them. Isaiah Martin does a great job here. Abby Phillips does a great job here. But again, I repeat myself, this MAGA hack has no business being on this panel and shouldn't be on this panel. They're a professional liar. That's what they are. Here we go.
I think that's maybe why they're so reluctant to disavow some of these really extreme radical policies, like getting rid of prisons and opening the borders again, as we saw under Biden. And this is the thing. So look, Zoran Mamdani, you mentioned Zoran Mamdani earlier, and you said, great, can I talk for a second? So look, Zoran Mamdani, who you want to be part of this Democratic Party, who Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, everyone has seemed to embrace. Yeah, he watched the World Cup at Rikers. He wants to get rid of prisons. He wants to abolish private property.
He wants to abolish private property? Mamdani wants to get rid of prisons and abolish private property. Made it up. Totally made it up. But she's about to get called on that shit immediately to her face.
Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, everyone has seemed to embrace. Yeah, he watched the World Cup at Rikers. He wants to get rid of prisons. He wants to abolish private property. This is literally the most radical.
When did he ever say that, Lydia?
He wants government-run
Rikers. You just lied.
I did not lie. Can I speak for 2 seconds? I'm not here to answer to you.
Okay, can I speak?
Can I speak for 2 seconds?
When did he ever say he wanted to get rid of prisons? You made a direct claim.
That's part of his platform.
When did
That's
he ever say that?
That's literally part of his platform.
When did he say that?
He's part of the DSA.
Oh, see what she did there? He said it to, it's part of his platform to, okay, well, actually, it's part of the DSA platform and he's part of DSA. They have nothing on us and they have to reach so hard to get anything they could even try to muster up an attack with. Notice how the goalpost shifted like that. They shifted like that. He wants to get rid of private property, made up, and he wants to abolish all prisons, made up. Totally made up. Totally made up. And thank God Isaiah Martin called her on this. Thank God. Am I allowed to speak? Not if you're going to fucking lie with every single breath you take. No, then you actually shouldn't be allowed to speak. Because this is not like you have a responsibility being on CNN, which is supposed to be a news network. You have a responsibility to tell the truth. Because if you're not doing your job. You're a liar. You're a propagandist. You're misleading people. And you're full of shit. And you shouldn't have this extreme power of being on this network.
When did he ever say he wanted to get rid of prisons? You made a direct claim.
That's part of his platform.
When did he ever say that?
That's literally part of his platform.
When did he say that?
He's part of the DSA. I can point you to the website after. I'm happy to show you that.
One time you just lied on air.
Oh my Lord. Okay, I'm happy to point you to the website.
It's just a simple question. Has he actually said that?
That's literally part of his platform.
Where?
On his website.
Was that on his
He wants government-run grocery stores. This is literally.
When did he say about getting rid of prisons?
My point is that you have a candidate like Zoran Mamdani who is incredibly radical. The Democratic Party is thrilled to embrace because, the alternative is.
Just lied.
Okay, let's.
Oh my Lord! Can you stop interrupting?
Can you stop and just let me get away with shamelessly lying? Why won't you just let me get away with smearing and lying and tarnishing? Why don't you just let me do that? This is what we do. This is sort of our thing as Republicans. This is what we're known for. I mean, if we're not allowed to lie, we can't say anything. Yeah, interesting. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that, quite an admission right there? I think it is kind of quite an admission.
Go for like 3 seconds. The point is, this is the new mantle bearer. This is why they were thrilled to embrace Graham Plattner, despite the fact that he had a Nazi tattoo. There is no energy apart from these people. And the more conventional Democrats, like Chuck Schumer, are scared to stand up and call out any of these radical extremist policies.
Chuck Schumer endorsed
against Graham Plattner.
Zoran Mamdani did launch his government.
He didn't endorse Graham Plattner.
Run grocery stores.
The reason why she's saying insane stuff like he wants to get rid of all private property and he wants to abolish all prisons, the reason why she's doing that is because she can't actually engage with what this man has actually done. What he's actually done is overseen a massive historic decrease in the crime. What he's actually done is crack down on shitty landlords. What he's actually done is ordered a deep cleaning of the subway. What he's actually done is got Hochul on board for universal childcare, which they're delivering. What he's actually done is frozen the rent for, I believe it's a 2-year period. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I think he was able to do it for a 2-year period. What he's actually done is filled a record number of potholes. What he's actually done is taxed the rich. Literally everything I just mentioned there polls at an overwhelming majority of people supporting it and liking it. His approval rating has gone up since he took power. Most politicians, it goes down. With him, it went up. Why? Because he's showing, I will actually fight for you and actually deliver. And when I'm mayor, I actually do have power, and I'm going to use it. I'm not going to do nothing or do the wrong things and then say, like, oh, what did you want me to do? I didn't have the ability to. I tried, but nothing could have been done. He doesn't do that. He actually delivers. And since he's delivering, since people love him, they're panicked, and what they have to do is revert to just lying and smearing and tarnishing and making shit up. And by the way, just understand, this is their playbook going forward. Their playbook is going to be, go to the DSA policy platform, pick the things that poll the lowest among the American people. Hammer away on those things. Even though, mind you, virtually none of the Democratic Socialist candidates who are running are out there specifically running on abolishing all prisons, for example, defunding the police, for example. The thing that Democratic Socialists are running on, if you listen to them and take them at their word, is we want to raise the minimum wage. We want Medicare for all. We want to tax the rich. We want to stop sending all our money to Israel. We want to stop the Iran war, right? So, but this is all they have. all they have are lies and smears and trying to harp away on the handful of things that don't poll as popular in the DSA platform. I'm telling you now, prepare yourself. In the same way that they can't run against James Talarico without pointing out that he doesn't despise trans people, this is what they're going to do with every other Democratic Socialist or Democratic Socialist adjacent candidate, is they're just going to hit them with you want to get rid of all prisons, you want to get rid of all private property, and they want us to have that conversation. Always redirect the conversation back to the reality. Point number one, point out they're just lying over and over, as Isaiah Martin did here. And then point number two is harp away on what we're actually doing and what we actually support, which is all the stuff that Zoran is doing, which is fucking incredible. And then add on top of that, of course, Medicare for all, ending the wars, living wage, et cetera, et cetera. So well done there by Isaiah Martin. Well done there by Abby Phillips. But we really don't need to have, I'm sorry, we just don't need these people in the room. They shouldn't be in the room. It's totally unacceptable. It's like, they take a shit in the punch bowl every day. And we're supposed to act like, yep, that's fine. That's just part of the conversation and debate and discussion. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, it's not. They need to act more civilized and come more correct. And if they don't, they shouldn't be allowed in the conversation. All right, y'all, that's the show, man. I love y'all very much. You guys know the drill. Everybody do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. You can also click that bell icon, support the show on Patreon, sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack, and go sub to Corin's World, and we'll see you there live on Monday nights. All right, and I will see y'all back here tomorrow. Peace out, y'all. Love you.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.